glad you found New Friends, my podcast. I'm Jordana, I'm 20, I live in Nashville, and I moved here right after graduating high school to pursue my dream of being a singer-songwriter, which basically means I skipped the whole college thing and dove headfirst into trying to make music and make sense of life at the same time. I started New Friends because I wanted to create the kind of space I've always needed, a place to talk about the things we're all trying to figure out. Friendship, confidence, self-worth, following your own path, and everything in between. Some episodes are solo, some are with guests, sometimes the conversations even turn into songs, but every episode is rooted in honesty, vulnerability, and feeling a little less alone. I'm so happy you're here. Welcome to New Friends.
One of my favorite things about you is not only that you're incredibly talented, so good at both hair and makeup, which is, I feel like, really rare, but also I just love you as a human. Like, we have the most fun on set.
We do have a lot of fun.
So
I was just going to say, we laugh more than we do anything else.
Literally.
Which is also, this is what I always say about hair and makeup, and why, you know, certain clients and certain people get along and are like the perfect ideal client for someone, and it goes so much deeper than just the actual hair and makeup, because you realize you're spending a lot of time with people. Like with your glam squad, you're with them a lot and you're traveling with them, and there are days when we're like together for 14 hours. And yes, obviously you need someone that makes your hair and makeup look good, but there's also something about like being with someone that makes you feel comfortable, that you can be yourself, and like that you actually have fun with, because I'm telling you, those long days will be torture if you're like spending it all day with someone who you're like,
I don't like you.
I don't like this. Thanks for the glam, but like,
can you like leave?
Can you go now? And it's true, and it goes both ways, like for clients and for like us as artists, you know. Like, I feel the same way.
If
like,
you're on set with a difficult client, it makes the day so much longer.
So much longer, and I don't want to take those clients. I don't want to be. Life is way too short to be surrounded by a client that just, you know, is not even not fun to be around, but, you know, it's just, because you always have certain clients, you just don't jive with each other.
Yeah.
It's not even really necessarily that there's something wrong with one or the other. It's just that sometimes our personalities just don't necessarily mesh that great.
Totally.
Or like our humor is different, or I don't know. But then there are also people that are just, you know, difficult.
Yeah.
And
I also feel like, I don't know, for me, like, I'm not someone who...
So pretty.
I love that. I'm not someone who likes confrontation or whatever, so especially as you're starting to work with an artist, if there's something that you, like, that I didn't love about a certain look or want to fix, like, I'm not someone who's going to be like, I really don't like this, we need to tweak this. Like, I kind of have a, like, oh, I'm, like, the only thing I'm not sure about is this, or, like, sometimes it's even, like, I struggle to say something and it's more, like, if you can pick it up in the body language. And I feel like one of the things that like works really well is that you're like, one, you're like very open to, like, when we were first starting to work together, you were very like open about, you know, tweaking things, and you also can pick up on the like body language of someone of, oh, they love this, they are just, you know, feeling super confident, or they're not.
100%. And I do think so many things in there, yes. Because I do think as an artist, especially like you said, when you're first working with someone, a lot of times they are scared to speak up, and they are a little bit more nervous. And especially like you, when we first started working together, you were very young. I mean, you're still very young.
And I had no idea what I wanted or didn't.
Totally.
I couldn't articulate it.
But I do feel like it is the job of an artist to, like you said, pick up on the body language. And also kind of like, if someone's kind of feeling like, there's something about it that I'm not loving, kind of like asking the right questions to get to where, you know, you're able to then articulate, like, okay, this is like kind of what's feeling off to me. And I do think as artists, we're very sensitive people naturally, but you have to put your ego aside in this industry and realize that, like, it's not about you as an artist or you not being good enough or not talented enough. Like,
yeah.
And I will
it's
say,
literally all preference.
It's all preference. And also, I mean, in the beginning of my career, the best thing that ever happened was that I assisted a lot of like super talented, like some of my, you know, idols, and watched them get critiqued by their clients, or have someone say, hey, we love this, but like can you like kind of blend this a little bit more? It's not quite looking right.
Mm-hmm.
And I feel like that was the first time I realized like, oh, like everyone, you know, is having to like tweak things here and there, or fix something. And it's not personal. It does not mean that as an artist you're not talented or you didn't do your job correctly. It's just like there's always going to be little things that like you can tweak here and there or like fix, or like you said, like it's very personal with makeup. And if someone says, hey, can you add a little bit more eyeliner, it's not that you're not talented and you didn't do a great job. It's just that like, hey, this is a personal preference. I just want, you know what I mean? And I do feel like it's really, really important to put that ego aside and kind of know that like it's not personal, and like you have to open up that dialogue for people to feel comfortable to say to you like, hey, something's not working. Because I will say, you know, there's so many times where you could avoid a bad situation if the client felt, you know, comfortable enough to just say, hey, like this isn't quite looking right, because it's usually such a simple fix.
Yeah, totally.
But also as an artist, you have to give them space to feel comfortable to say, hey, this isn't working. Because it's just as much as I can pick up on your body language, I feel like you can pick up on an artist, and you can tell
who doesn't want critiques.
Yes, or you can tell they're getting defensive, and it kind of, you can read the room of like, oh no,
absolutely.
This isn't someone who's going to be like very receptive.
And I feel like artists want you to love it, and you want to love it.
Totally.
So you like just need to have that conversation.
And you're on the same team. Like everyone
exactly.
wants you. Like I want you to be happy. You want to be happy. Everyone wants to be happy. So just like trying to, like you said, get to that place. And I also think that is why it's so nice to work with an artist who you've been with for like years.
Absolutely.
Because there just is that comfort level of not feeling like you're going to hurt someone's feelings or, you know, be offended or offend them or anything like that.
And even just like working with someone who you know like understands your skin and
definitely
what you're looking for, and not having to articulate it every time.
And I think also when there's trust there that's built in, and you've seen me do your makeup 100 times and you've always like, you know, 99% of the time you love it, there's a trust there that then you allow me to kind of just do my thing. Because like we always talk about this when I first started working with you. Also really quick, so I basically, after I did your lashes, I then just went in with a little bit more mascara, because I don't know if you guys can tell, but I only did, like I said, 3 on the end and then 1 in the center on both sides. I didn't do any on the inner corners. I just kept that her natural lash, and then I'll go in with mascara and just kind of do a final coat just to like blend it all together. I mean, you literally can't even tell where there's like lash or your natural lashes, which is exactly what we want. And then I basically come in, I kind of cleaned up a little bit under her eye, and now I'm going to come in with eye cream and just put a little bit under her eye and just kind of blend that in, because then I'm going to go in with concealer, and I like to have, like said, how we talked about, like a nice fresh layer of eye cream so that concealer can lay like really nicely on it. But no, going back to, what were we talking about?
Working with someone who you have a trust with. Yeah,
because once you've built in that trust and you know that, like you said, you don't have to sit there and now give like the whole spiel of like, don't do this, don't do that. You know what I mean? You're like, you allow them that space to just kind of like have a little bit more creative freedom too. Because we were talking about like in the beginning when I very first started working with you, it was almost as if every step was being watched. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like we were sitting there and being like, okay, here's foundation. How do you feel about it?
Yeah.
Here's this. What do you know, how are you feeling about that? And like kind of going step by step and kind of getting the feel for like what you're liking, what you're not liking. Where now we're at a point where I pretty much don't even ask you until the very end. I'll kind of be like, how is everything feeling? Or if there's something new we're trying.
Yeah, it'll be like, okay, like, are we doing anything different this time?
Exactly.
Like, and I feel like I've also gotten, now that we work together a bunch, like I'll send you outfits ahead of time and then just be like, you know, do your thing with whatever you think will look great with this outfit, you know?
Yeah, and we always kind of stick, I always say this, like we always stick within like kind of like your signature, like glam, like I'm always going to stay within the perimeters of like, I'm always know I'm going to do like a nice, very natural like light lash. I know that I'm always going to keep the shape of your eye the same, but then I can play a little within that with like some color, or like sometimes we add like sparkle if you're going to be like on TV and you want that little bit of glistening on your lids when you're, you know, if it's like a live appearance or something like that. If it's an appearance for like a show, you can go a lot more glam just because you're far away and you're on a stage, and I do feel like that's the time that you can kind of get a little bit more crazy with it.
Yeah.
But we always kind of still stay within the parameters of, you know what I mean, like your signature look.
Yeah.
Like it never feels like, oh wow, this is not Jordana. You know what I mean?
Which I think is important when you're like a music artist, because it is, you do have a brand.
Definitely.
And you're sticking with that. I think when someone's a model or something, then it's kind of more like a blank canvas that
100%.
based on what the shoot is, asking for, you do something totally different than maybe what you did the day before.
Yes, and that is very true.
What is the craziest request you've had from a client that you were doing hair and makeup for?
It's a good question. I feel like, I don't feel like I've had any like really crazy requests. I mean, a lot of the stuff that I do is a lot of like advertising, like more for like brands and different like campaigns and stuff like that. So I don't necessarily get like really crazy wild requests.
Or what is like the hardest glam look you've ever had to do?
I'll be honest, when we had to do that underwater shoot here where you had to be underwater.
Oh my gosh.
And you're like, yeah, I'm gonna be in the water, but we still wanted to look like
underwater.
Filming underwater, but we still want it to look like supernatural. I was like, and like we didn't want to do like, obviously there's like waterproof makeup and stuff, but honestly we ended up doing like kind of your glam the way we do it, and then it somehow stayed and looked really good, and we were like, wait, how is this happening? But that was definitely like one of those moments where I was like, wait, what are we doing here? But I mean, I've had to do some makeup in some wild places. I definitely I've literally had to do makeup on like a mountaintop because we did like a shoot like on like a mountain, and then we had to actually like ski there or like go on like snowmobiles. Yeah,
that's crazy.
And then I'm like literally doing touch-ups, like I have like a backpack of touch-ups, like doing it on top of a mountain, and I was like, this is crazy.
That's wild.
It's also one of those moments though that you're like, this is like so cool,
Yeah, you're like, this is
this is why I do what I do.
The reason why it's so fun.
Definitely. So right now I'm taking a little bit, I love the Makeup by Mario, the Soft Sculpt Skin Enhancer. It's one of my favorite products, and I do feel like, especially for someone like you, where like we do not like to do a heavy contour or any type of like super strong contoured look. I really just like it to be a really soft sculpt, which is also one of the reasons why it can kind of stay like fresh and youthful looking, because we never do like a really heavy like look. And honestly, this also kind of brings your tan a little bit back into it, and I literally, all I do is, like I said, really just go on these like under your cheekbones, just kind of sculpt that out a little bit, just do a little bit under your jaw. And this formula is so nice because it has a little bit of a dewy finish to it, which I like. It's very, very skin-like. I do a little bit on the forehead, and it kind of just is like a very light sculpt, while also bronzing just like a little bit. We don't ever like do much to your nose. I mean, I'll brush a little bit maybe on the sides of your nose just to kind of like get a little bit of structure, but we don't want to like change your face shape in any way. If I know, I'm not going to be on set with you and I need it to last, I will go over it with like a little bit of powder and or like a powder blush just to kind of lock it down. But if you're going to be on set all day and I'm going to have to like keep touching you up and whatnot, then I will just keep with liquids, because liquids are a lot easier to touch up. And then I don't have to sit there, and that's where it starts to get muddy. If you have like a bunch of powder, like powder bronzer, powder blush, like it just starts to like, once you start touching it up, it gets a little bit muddy.
That makes sense.
Then I just kind of take my beauty blender and like blend it all together. Like you never look like you can see where any of the lines start and stop. Like it's just like a very kind of like soft, like you're never seeing like, oh, there's a contour line here.
Yeah.
You're literally just seeing just like a little bit of shadow, but nothing where you're like, whoa, she's got contour on, Like I said, just a little bit underneath your jawline. That also always photographs nicely, because it just kind of adds that nice sharpness to your jawline.
Yeah.
Okay, so for concealers, I absolutely love the Kosas concealers. They're hands down my favorite formula ever. They're super light. They're so creamy and hydrating. They never like look like they're adding texture to your skin. And I use the Color Corrector Illusion, and then I'll go in with 2.6, and I just kind of mix those together. I do a very, very light layer. I mean, I think the key with you is always like less is more. Like, we are not trying to do a super heavy anything. So yeah, with the concealer, I just make sure you bring it up into this like tear duct area, because there's always a little bit of darkness there, and I feel like people always miss that area. And then you can kind of take it down into here, and then I always do it at the end to just kind of lift your eye, And then I always come around under these nose folds just because there's a little bit of redness there, and I like to just always hit the nose folds. You're going to learn something new today.
You can't forget them.
You can't forget the nose folds.
You cannot.
And like I said, it's a very, very light layer. And then I'll go in with my blender and like very lightly just blend out those little edges so that it's seamless. I hate when people do this like concealer line up here.
Yeah. And
then you can see where the line is. And like, it's such I don't know if that's a choice. I'm not sure, but it's not a good
it's a choice. It's not one Courtney would be
it's
making.
not one I would make personally. I just don't. When I see someone's makeup, I don't want to see what you did.
Yeah.
I don't want to see the line that you created with your brush. I want it to look just like very seamless and blended, and like you just don't even know where it stops and starts.
Yeah. I agree with that.
Otherwise, I just feel like it's sometimes when I used to take acting classes, my acting coach would be like, you don't want the people to see you working. You know, you don't want to see like what's going on in your head, right? And it's the same I think with makeup. Like I don't want to see the choices that you made.
Yeah, I just want to see your face and for it to look like
just like a nice.
It's just how you.
Yeah, like softly sculpted, a little bit blended, and natural.
So if someone had no knowledge about makeup, what advice would you give them on what to learn and how to learn?
If you know absolutely nothing, first of all, start with a few YouTube videos. Watch a few YouTube videos. Get a YouTuber that looks a little bit like you or has similar features as you, and just watch a few videos just to kind of like get a lay of the land and get an idea of, you know, just kind of the terminology, you know, because I will say the hardest people to do makeup on is somebody who's never had their makeup done.
Yeah.
Because, someone who doesn't wear makeup, even like the littlest bit of makeup is jarring to them. Also, I just want you to see how little coverage, like, you obviously look so much.
Yeah, it makes such a big difference.
Such a big difference, but you don't see a bunch of heavy concealer. Like, I do not want this, like, heavy layer. And I definitely don't want it to be where it's, like, white or, like, much lighter. I do like it to be where it just feels seamless. It like blends into your contour, but you don't necessarily like that white under eye that we used to do years ago is just not. People are not doing that anymore. It's much more natural now. So like I said, I'll go in with a brush and then I'll just take my blender and just do those edges. And then what I like to do, I do not bake under the eye just because I don't want it to look heavy. I'll just take a very fluffy brush and I'll take a loose powder. This is the Givenchy. RIP, they changed the formula.
No.
And so this is my favorite powder, like loose powder of all times. They changed the formula recently, and luckily I still have like a little bit left, but as soon as that runs out, I'm gonna have to figure out a new solution because they basically changed the formula so it has a lot more like shimmer to it. But yeah, so we need new loose powder recommendations because this one is just so seamless. I mean, it's literally like it's undetectable. And like I said, I like to take a very fluffy brush and very lightly just dust it over that concealer just to set it in. And then later at the very end, I usually will take a finishing powder. I usually like the Charlotte Tilbury and just kind of go over it just to kind of brighten it a little bit.
That literally makes like the biggest difference.
The biggest difference. Like
it's shocking.
It's
crazy.
It's crazy. You have to set your concealer. If you are not setting your concealer, I mean, you might as well not wear concealer. Just like gotta do it. But the reason I love this combo is great for obviously someone like you who's very young and has beautiful, hydrated, like no under eye creases whatsoever. It's amazing and beautiful, but also for those women who are, you know, in their 30s, 40s, 50s, who have a little bit more like creasing and their under eyes are a little bit drier and they have more texture under there. This formula, like the Kosas with the Givenchy powder, is just chef's kiss. It's probably my favorite combo ever, and like I said, it looks good on pretty much anyone's under eye. And before I found this combo, I always had an issue with doing more mature skin and finding that like combination that did not enhance the under eyes. Because what I will say is yes, obviously with concealer, you're neutralizing the under eye circles, but if you're enhancing that texture, honestly, I'd rather not even do it. To me, if you're gonna make your under eyes look 100 years old, I'd rather have an eye bag. I don't want it to look like, oh, now there's no blue under my eye, but like, what is all that like crepiness? You know what I mean? And like I said, you don't have to worry about this because
I, on the other hand, do.
Yes, exactly. Me and Randy.
Well, Courtney, you have nothing to worry about.
Yeah, seriously.
Yeah, well, you guys never saw my eyes when I did it with I don't know. I don't even know what I was using before. But this powder has changed the game. So I don't know what's going to happen now. I'm going to try the new formula. I'm going to see if the internet's being dramatic.
For beginners, look at YouTube videos.
Oh, yes. Back to the people. Okay, yeah. Look at YouTube videos. I would say yes. Find somebody that has similar features as you. You know, similar hair color, similar face shape. Because that's the problem, too. A lot of people, you know, they're watching influencers that look completely different than them, have completely different features. And then they're like, why does my makeup not look like that? And it's like, well, because they're teaching you how to do it on their specific face, and your face doesn't look like that. So find somebody who you kind of have those similar features. Watch a few videos just to get it, like I said, just a little idea of things. And then I will say, it's great to like book a private lesson with a makeup artist. I always like try to encourage people to do it because it really will be a game changer. And I do think you'll learn so many little tips and tricks that you will just never get if you're just like watching videos, because a professional can really look at your face and say like, okay, this is what's gonna be most flattering. This is like what works on your skin tone, and customize it. And if you're somebody that takes it seriously and you really do want to learn like how to come up with a new routine, or maybe you're like having to get, you know, your photos done for something, but you want to do it yourself because you're, you know, I do feel like it is worth the investment of just like finding a makeup artist that you trust and or, like get a recommendation from someone and just do a private lesson.
And even though there's trends in makeup,
and you literally look like you have no, like you do not see the makeup.
No, it looks super effortless. And
just so effortless. Okay, so then I'm gonna really quickly. So I like to do a little bit of liquid blush. What I like to do is I just put a little bit on my palette, or you can put some on the back of your hand, and I like putting it on a brush first, and then I just kind of stipple it on my arm to kind of get, because you don't want a bunch of colors like concentrated in one area. You kind of want to get it dispersed on the brush, and then I'll just go just right here above. This is also why I like doing the bronzer and the concealer obviously first, because then you can kind of like, it's almost like you're filling in the gap. I'm now putting the blush in between that blush, or in between that contour and your concealer. And it's really important to like, a lot of times people have like a little bit of a ridge right here. You really want to bring it up, like almost like under your eye, so that you avoid that like line. You want it to feel like really seamless. And like, once again, you don't see where your concealer stops and your blush starts. And you can do that by kind of taking it underneath your eye.
That's super pretty.
And this is just like a really natural color. I'll have to look to see what it is. It's the Rare Beauty. I really like their blushes. There's so many good liquid blushes though on the market now. And like I said, I do like the Rare ones. Okay, so with the cream blush, like I said, I like to do a little bit. I just put a dot on my palette and then rub my brush in it and then just put it on my hand, just so that it's like evenly dispersed all over the brush. That way you're not like putting it on your face and you just have like one giant dot. It's like a nice even, and like I said, I do take it up a little bit higher, kind of underneath the eye a little bit. Also, I like a little bit on the nose. It's cute.
Yeah, it's
and that's
cute.
Like very on trend.
Yeah, right. Isn't that such a trend?
Yes, they're very
Okay, wait.
sun-kissed.
I've seen this trend for like regular people. Is this a thing on shoots where they want to add freckles?
Yeah, definitely. I mean, yes, it's definitely a trend. I would say they do it less on shoots. I think it's more of a personal thing that people like to do on themselves. But yes, now and then we get asked to add like a few freckles. Also, what's really popular, which is, I did not know about this, is that people are getting freckles tattooed.
Wait, what?
Yeah. So like they actually go to somebody who specializes in freckle tattoos.
I
And
didn't know
they
that
just
people
get them
specialized in freckle tattoos.
You do. And
Okay,
they get
I
them
would
tattooed on.
I would feel very nervous about that because that's like a face tattoo.
For sure, but I will say the ones that I've seen, they actually do look pretty cute.
Really?
But you do have to be careful because sometimes you can really tell that it's like, I don't know, like it'll be a little bit too big and you're like, that doesn't look right. Also, I mean, I don't know. Personally, I would never do something as permanent as a tattoo when it's like kind of like a trend.
I know.
To me, I'm like, it's
I was telling my mom about it and she's like, oh my gosh, like it used to be that you covered up your freckles.
Oh, now they're embracing the freckles. Also, okay, this is like the final touch on the skin. I'm just taking a little bit of the Charlotte Tilbury. This is just the Fair. And I'm just taking it on a puff and just kind of going over like your T-zone, just like underneath here, just around the corners of the nose, and just like right here, just so that it like looks nice and blurred. The nice thing about this powder is it like blurs so nicely, but it's also very light, so like your oils, your natural oils and stuff will still come through and it still looks like skin.
Okay.
It's not gonna look like powdery and heavy. I also love just doing a final look up underneath your eyes, just to kind of get a little extra like brightness in here. And it just kind of, like I said, blurs everything.
Do you do any powder over the like cheeks where you put the blush?
Don't, no.
Okay.
Like I said, sometimes I'll just take a powder blush and just go over it a little bit just to set that cream. But I don't necessarily go over it with like a normal, just like finishing powder.
Yeah.
I also sometimes will come up on the cheek and like go right underneath where the contour and the blush was, just to kind of like carve that out a little bit. Look up again. Yeah, make sure I get
I feel like that's been my mistake. I'll put powder over my whole face and then it kind of like takes away the blush.
Yes, it does. And so a good trick with that is to like, let's say, okay, I did the cream blush, right? It looks all nice and dewy. I went over now with powder, and yes, it will then sometimes take the blush away. You then can take a powder blush, and usually I like something the same. I love the Patrick Ta blushes. This is the She's Seductive, and I'll just take a little bit of that powder, just like the smidgiest amount though, and I just, same thing, we'll kind of blot it on my skin first, and then I'll just kind of go over that, and it will, that powder will set the skin and will set that blush and make it last a little longer.
Gotcha.
And it will kind of bring that color back to your face. Also a nice trick, because sometimes we put blush on, right, and all of a sudden we're like, whoa, you like overkilled it on the blush a little bit. But it's an easy trick to just, once you have it on, you just take your blender and literally just go over the top of it. That'll also bring some life back to your skin and make it so that, like, once again, it just kind of melts into your skin, and it'll just like kind of melt that blush in so that
that's really cute.
But I will say, blush is the one thing that it always feels like you kind of overdo it a little bit, but then it always, like, your skin eats your blush immediately, and it's always the first thing to kind of disappear. So I always say, like, you can go a little bit heavier on the blush than you normally would when you do like a photo shoot or a video shoot, because the blush is the first thing to disappear.
Yeah.
It also is like washed out a lot of times, especially in photo. So I feel like you can kind of go a little heavy on the blush. I am a blush girly. I love blush.
Yeah, I do too.
And then as a final step, I like to just take a little bit of highlighter, just like a smidge. I'm not a big, like, that whole like super highlighted skin with like a, you know, blinding powder highlighter is not really in anymore, and I don't really like that look, but I will take like literally, I mean, the tiniest amount of like the Dior luminizer, and just literally just, I mean, this tiniest amount, just to kind of go over your cheekbones, just to kind of bring a little bit of kind of dew in it. Just this, I love this highlighter because it doesn't necessarily look like powder. It literally just looks like wet skin. And to me, that's why this is still the holy grail of highlighters, because it does not, it's the only powder highlighter that I just feel like doesn't look like powder. And like I said, I use the tiniest amount. I do not want you to look like you have a big powder highlight on.
Yeah.
It's just like the littlest bit to like add.
Sparkle.
Yeah, exactly. And then for the lips, I usually like to keep it pretty simple. I do like just like a really nice lip liner that's pretty close to your natural lip color. This is, like I said, the Makeup by Mario Rich Mauve. And I overline like a hair right in the center, but I just kind of do it like right there in the center, and then I'll just kind of blend that down on your natural lip line, like near the corners. I don't like to overdraw on the corners because it just kind of looks weird. And it's really easy if you make a mistake on your lip liner, where you go outside the line. It's really easy. Just kind of leave it till you're finished, and it's just take your concealer brush, and then you can literally just take it right on the edge and just clean it up. And then boom, like any mistakes you made are gone. And it's like a really simple way to just like clean it up. And a lot of times with you, because we don't really do like, I don't like a really overdone like lip. I just, same thing, I'll kind of keep it in the center there, and then I just go on your natural lip line here, kind of bring it on your lips a little bit, and then I'll just take a clean lip brush, and I'll kind of just smudge out that lip liner, just to make it kind of a little bit more diffused, so it's not like a harsh line. I do love like a strong lip liner look, but I feel like on you for like every day, I don't want it to look like you're having this like super harsh line or anything. I want it to feel very natural. So yeah, I'll just kind of blend out that line, just kind of like put it into the lips, and then all I do is take a nice like lip oil or gloss. I've been really obsessed with these lately. It's the Facile, the lip jelly tints, and it's just like this is the shade Cognac. And I just like to take, this is like a really pretty, just like that like pinky kind of brown color, just like that everyday natural kind of rose shade. And I just put a little bit of that, and it just adds a little bit of sheen without it looking, like I said, overdone or like you have like a lipstick on. Super pretty.
That's so pretty.
Yeah, so pretty. And then, like I said, final step, sometimes I will still take that concealer brush. But yeah, I'll just clean up a little bit more under the lip line. Like I said, I just think this is just such a nice, like, fresh-faced, glowy, dewy, natural, but, like, you still feel like yourself. Like, I feel like with you, your biggest thing is, like, you never want to, like, look in the mirror and you just feel, like, super done.
Yeah.
And, like, I feel like in the past you kind of have that where you just felt like, this doesn't feel like myself.
Yeah, and I feel like that's the biggest thing of, like, figuring out someone who just gets you. And I feel like you totally get the understated, you know, me, but just, you know, enhance. Me, but better. No.
You, but better.
Me, but prettier. No.
No, yeah, you don't want to, like, look in the mirror and you don't recognize the girl in the mirror anymore.
Yeah, and I
love to feel also age appropriate. Yeah. You don't want to have, like, you know, this heavy.
And I feel like it's, you know, it's just enhanced for shoots and stuff, but I want it to jive well with when I'm, you know, in person, or when I'm like posting and I literally just have mascara on, or
definitely, yeah, you want it to like fit all together.
Yeah.
Sorry, I got this lash. Also, yeah, I just feel like nowadays too, like you don't ever want to feel like you said like the makeup is wearing you. You want to feel like you're, you know, wearing the makeup, and it's just like this really nice, natural,
totally
enhanced version of yourself. And where also you feel really good in person, because like I said, the last thing I want is for someone to look in camera and they're like, oh yeah, I look great in camera, and then you go to a restaurant afterwards and you go in the bathroom and you're like, oh my gosh, I look crazy.
Yeah,
like, I just feel
wait, literally I can't go out.
Yeah, exactly. And you're like, yeah, pretty.
And obviously everything that we talked about, like, I feel like it's still all about the confidence, you know? Like, makeup is really about you feeling confident in how you look, and it's not something that you need. Like, I think everyone, it's all about that inner beauty, but it's about making you feel like, you know, beautiful.
Yeah, I think makeup has always been a powerful tool, right? Yeah. I think it's something that like women and men have always used to just like, it's like putting on their power face, you know? Yeah. I've always said like I put on a face of makeup and I feel like I can like take on the world. And I think it also should be fun, and I think it should be something that like the process of it should be really fun, which I do think nowadays with social media and like with Get Ready's with me and everything, people are enjoying the process more and more, which is really exciting, because I do think it's almost like this like ritual, you know what I mean, that you can sit down and do, and it's almost like a time to like zen out and meditate. I mean, I do my face and I'm like contemplating like the world, you know, like I'm sitting there like meditating and like almost like
I'd
a
love
trance.
to put on a good podcast while I
like it should feel like an experience when you're doing your makeup, and I think it should be fun and like something that like I said, you feel more confident in, and you shouldn't feel like you need to wear it, but it's just a great way to, you know, feel beautiful, and it's also just fun. Makeup's fun. It's fun to like put on some like fun glowy highlight and be like, ooh, I'm sparkling now, you know?
Yeah, I love that.
So.
This was the makeup portion of the episode. Hopefully you guys learned stuff. I learned stuff.
I hope you did. I'm so happy.
And
we never really get to talk when I'm doing
know,
your makeup
right?
because, you know, you have a million other things happening and we're trying to go as fast as possible.
I know. And I feel like we do talk, but just not about makeup. Like,
yes.
it's supposed
We're
to be
always
like, okay,
catching up.
love life updates.
Exactly. Always a love
Funny
life
stories.
update. Exactly.
I love this. Okay, and then if you guys want to watch the hair part of it, where we're just going to talk more and Courtney will show how she does hair. She does the best beach waves ever.
Which is so funny because I never was a hair artist or hairstylist.
Yeah, because in LA it's like all separate.
Yeah, and I really was only doing makeup for a very long time, and then when I moved to Nashville, I started doing hair more and more because there, a lot of times they wanted you to do both hair and makeup, and then I just kind of started, you know, now I'm Jordana's full-time hairstylist.
Okay, watch the next episode.
Thank you so much for watching this episode of New Friends. I really hope you loved it. It would mean so much to me if you'd subscribe to my channel on YouTube and send this to someone who you think might enjoy it. Hope to see you in the next episode.